how surprised are you at the way things kind of unfolded this week?
Well, I tell you, the NCAA regional round was pretty amazing. A very unique year in the history of college baseball to, have so many 2, 3, and 4 seeds advancing out of regionals. It's the days of the programs in the Deep South dominating college baseball, and the programs in Texas and California. It looks like those days are gone. The parity in college baseball anymore is pretty remarkable. I think there's a lot of reasons behind that that I'm happy to go into, but it's UC Irvine, different teams, in college baseball, a mid-major program can compete at the highest level because of the restrictions and scholarships and things like that. So it's pretty amazing to see what the field is now of 16 that are in the super regionals.
With the way things unfolded at other spots, does that maybe make what you guys were able to do and the way you handled your business this weekend maybe a little bit more impressive?
Well, I'm just so proud of our team that the consistency that this ball club's played with all year, and the fact that we were a national seed, and the expectations that are on us, and how we performed in the regional was, quite frankly, pretty dominating fashion. And I thought we played some of the best baseball that we've played all year this past weekend. Hopefully that's something that can continue. And then you look at our ability to advance out of regionals, over the last 6 years in this program is impressive, and speaks to the consistency that our players have played with, because it's very difficult to get to this round of 16. I think a lot of people, they think that you host regionals and they take it for granted because you host and you're a national seed or you're the #1 seed that you should just automatically advance, and it doesn't work that way.
Brian, does getting one of the Saturday, Sunday, Monday regionals allow you to do anything in terms of preparation you wouldn't have been able to do?
Yeah, we just found out this morning, as you all did, that we are going to be the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, one of the 4 that's going to do that, and so it gives us complete flexibility of what we want to do with our pitching. It allows us, if we choose to, for Nathan Kirby to start game 1, and we'll look at that very closely in the next 24, 48 hours. And and I think it's good for us. We're going to be playing afternoon games here in Charlottesville. The news that the Super Regionals already sold out is very, very exciting. So it just gives us a lot of flexibility and a lot of options.
How much more prepared do you think you and the guys will feel playing Maryland second time around now?
We didn't get a chance to play Maryland during the regular season. They were one of our off teams, and the fact that we did play them in the conference tournament. I don't know that it plays a lot into this weekend series. The capability you have nowadays of video and watching so many games that are on television and things like that, you have a pretty good understanding of what your opponent can do. But certainly seeing them live like we did in the ACC tournament, that was a great baseball game. Unfortunately, we came out on the wrong end of it, but it appears that Maryland's got outstanding pitching, like we do, and some very athletic position players. So it should be a tremendous challenge in front of us, and we look forward to it.
That game was played in a very different ballpark than it will be. Does that make it hard to even see a whole lot of carryover?
Yeah, certainly the ballpark we played in down in Greensboro had a lot to do with team's ability, and ours too, to hit the ball at the ballpark, and we hit a couple home runs in that game too. So certainly this ballpark plays significantly different, and but it's still going to come down to us making our pitches, playing good defense like we did this last weekend, and I know Maryland's got tremendous starting pitching. We faced their #1 in the conference tournament. That guy's really, really good. He'll certainly go very high in the draft, and they've got an outstanding freshman that's pitching really well for him too.
Brian, how much does the 6 lefties in that lineup affect your pitching decision?
Well, certainly it'll play into it. Maryland's got a pretty good staple of left-handed hitters in their lineup, and it's not the fact that they're just left-handed hitters. They're really good athletes. They can run. They can put pressure on you from the bunt game. So the fact that 2 of our top 3 starters are left-handed, and you know, they didn't see either one of those guys will certainly factor into what we're going to do pitching-wise.
Right, in 2010 and 11,
Right.
obviously playing in this round, I think you had a combined 17 guys drafted and still had to play that week. Obviously, this week you'll have more than a handful of guys going.
Yeah.
What did you learn from those 2 years that you can apply to this week?
Well, you know, the professional draft being tied around the super regional time is challenging, quite frankly, and it's got to be managed because you know, you have a lot of guys that are going to go in the draft off this year's team, and they have aspirations of playing at the next level of baseball, and that's good for them. I'm really glad that we were chosen as a Saturday start in the regional because we will have been bypassed through the first 2 days of the draft. The draft will start on Thursday night, and then they'll get through 10 rounds after Friday, and you know, the great majority of our players will be gone in the draft by then, and so then they know what their fate is from the draft standpoint, and they can just go out and play. So you know, I think our guys will handle it well, like they've handled it all year long.
I know that you're the baseball coach, but
Yeah.
you're obviously pretty clued into things beyond that. What kind of sense is this as the last ever Maryland-Virginia thing in anything in terms of being ACC opponents?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think that's for you all to write about. You know, I don't. You know, I personally, and I know our players, there won't be anything put into that. Quite frankly, that you know, we've never played for. You know, revenge or, you know, other ancillary things that are outside of what takes place on the field. Okay, so you know, I think it's great for our fan interest, that the fact it's us in Maryland, you know, one last time before they depart the league, and you know, their head baseball coach John Sheff is a very good friend of mine. I've known John for a long time. I have the utmost respect for him, and so, you know, it should be a lot of fun and of great interest to a lot of people.
From your, you know, from your perspective, what's different about that program? Obviously, they haven't been very good for a long time.
Right.
In the last 5 years, they've sort of improved. But what from your perspective, and I know you only played them once this year, but
Right.
what's different about the program now?
Well, you know, we did get a chance last year to compete against them, and you know, they've decided at the University of Maryland to make a serious commitment to their baseball program. And when they stepped out and they hired John Sheff as their coach, that made a statement that they were committed to having a winning baseball program. So, you know, I know what Coach Sheff is made of. I know the type of coach he is, and it doesn't surprise me at all that they're having the success they are, because he's a terrific leader, and you know, it's a sport I believe that they should have success in. There's a lot of good players in the state of Maryland. We know that because it's an area that we've recruited before.
Ryan, the game the other night was the first real breakout game that Fisher's had
Right.
in the NCAA tournament. And
Right.
I think Andrew asked you about him after the first game, but
Right.
what do you think just that the regional does for him going forward?
Well, I'm really proud of Derek Fisher. I really am. I thought he had a very, very good regional for us, and he's going to need to. You know, Derek's worked very hard. His progression, his development as a player in our program has gotten better and better every year. And I just think when you have experiences like he had his first 2 years in a regional, and you know, not producing with hits, you know, you learn from that experience and you get better. And I'm just proud of him because he stepped up for this team and, you know, did it when his team was counting on him. And you know, there's a lot of people out there that was wondering, okay, well, what's going to happen this year? And he certainly proved what he's capable of. And I think he's going to prove what everybody thinks of him Thursday night in the Major League Draft. And everybody's going to show that this kid's come here and he's developed into one heck of a player.
How unique is this situation, just this time of year? You're not scrambling to find out stuff about your
Yeah.
opponent. You didn't play him this year. You played that one game, but it's obviously a program that you're familiar with. And what's that like?
Well, the preparation for this weekend, whether it be Maryland or somebody else, is quite different than last weekend. Last weekend, you're going into it preparing for 3 other ball clubs. You're doing 3 different scouting reports. You're watching, you know, 30 different games on video. So this weekend, you can focus and concentrate on one opponent. So, it allows us as coaches to have a couple extra hours of sleep every night, you know, because it's not such an intense pressure of preparation and the amount of it. And certainly knowing Maryland, playing them last year, playing them already this year, having an understanding of what their players are and how they play the game is, you know, certainly gives us a little bit more time with our family, quite frankly.
You had Nick off his feet a lot. You didn't put him in the lineup at all this past weekend. Mm-hmm. He had 4 hits against the net the last time he played him. Mm-hmm. Will that change your approach at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Nick had a tremendous game against Maryland in the conference tournament. You know, that's something I'll look at as we move forward. You can see that, you know, the last couple of weeks, last weekend and the back part of the conference tournament, that I tried to keep Nick off his feet and not DH him, because I know the value of that guy at the end of the game, and he needed to be fresh and things like that. So, you know, we'll assess that what the right thing to do is. You know, the difficult thing is, you know, Kenny Towns and John LaPrice are both really performing and doing a great job. So, you know, we'll look at it and consider it, certainly.
Can you talk a little bit about LaPrice's performance? Because
Yeah.
he had a great regional.
I'll tell you, John LaPrice was terrific, really all year long, and then certainly he delivered with a lot of big clutch hits in the regional, and you know, he's showing why, you know, he led the Northwoods League in hitting last year. The guy can really hit. You know, the fact of the stage of what we were playing on last weekend in the regional didn't faze him at all. He went out and continued to do the same thing that he's done, and certainly has been a big spark for us on the back part of that lineup.
One more draft question.
Yeah, sure.
The other side of it being, obviously, how exciting of an opportunity could this be later in this week for this program?
Well, you know, we have a lot of talent on this year's ball club. Lots been made of this third-year class and the development that they've had, you know, through their time in this program. And you know, I believe that's going to be reflected on Thursday and Friday in the major league draft. And you know, I think we have a chance, you know, for 3 of the players to go significantly in the draft, and they deserve that. And I hope that works out for them.
You don't get a lot, if any, national TV coverage during the regular season.
Right.
When you get to the stage, all these games are going to be on ESPN2. What has that meant? Has that had a tangible effect on recruiting and the program over the last, you know, decade? When you get to this stage and your games are on ESPN2 and ESPN and people around the country are watching?
Jeff, I think it does. I think the fact that, you know, all the super regionals we've played in, the times in Omaha, you know, even the regionals, you know, and the way ESPN covers college baseball at the end of the season anymore, it certainly shines a bright light on what we're doing here in Charlottesville. And so that can do nothing but help our recruiting, help our fan base. And talking about shining a bright light, I tell you, those light standards that they added here made an unbelievable difference, you know. But with us playing day games, it, you know, doesn't look like that's going to have to happen. But you know, certainly when you get the national exposure like you can on ESPN, it helps our program. You see that we've gotten that over the last 6 years, and it feels like our program has continued to get better and better. So I'm sure there's some kind of tie in there.
You didn't get the result you wanted last year, but what do you think your guys could have picked up from the way Mississippi State approached the Super Regional last year and the way they just kind of got hot, stayed hot, and almost won a national championship?
Well, I think there's a great lesson in what Mississippi State did coming here last year. That you know, this time of the year, I say it all the time. This time of the year, it's about getting hot. It's about who's hot. I mean, you're seeing that play out with this last weekend. It's not necessarily the powerhouse team or who's been there before. It's a matter of, you know, who plays loose and gets after it, and who gets hot. And you can go on to win the national championship if you're one of those teams that gets hot for 4 weeks. So that's why I feel so good about our team. You know, I thought we played loose and confident and played some of our best baseball last weekend, and hopefully it continues this weekend. I'm sure Maryland feels the same way because they played some great baseball this last weekend too.
Sunday you talked about how you would have felt had you not won the region and expectations. And, what's the feeling going into this weekend?
Oh, it's positive. It's upbeat. You know, it's not a feeling of, okay, whew, we survived. You know, it's excitement. I told our players after the regional, you need to feel good and you need to be proud of what we accomplished. Because again, you look across the country and there's so many teams that people feel nationally that they underachieved by not winning. And so I think it's just important that we feel a sense of accomplishment of what we've done, and we're excited about moving forward.